Cliffside views overlooking turquoise waters, scenic beaches, stunning natural beauty, a vibrant culture, beautiful and distinctive architecture. This is what I got to experience on my first solo trip to Bali. I kicked off my journey on a direct 8-hour flight from New Delhi and arrived next morning at the Denpasar airport, where I quickly got through immigration and booked a grab car to my hotel in Uluwatu. After settling into my hotel room, I enjoyed a cup of tea at the hotel cafe. After that, I got on a grab bike to my very first destination for the day, the Pandawa beach. There's a small entrance fee, and as you ride in, you're welcomed by towering limestone cliffs on both sides of the road, with paragliders soaring above. A few moments later, the view opens up to the stunning blue waters of the ocean. The beach is absolutely picturesque. Calm, crystal clear waters with fishing boats gently floating, and cozy shops, shacks, and beach beds lining the pavement along the shore. Carved into the cliffs overlooking the beach are huge stone statues of the five Pandawa brothers from the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata. That's actually where the beach gets its name. The next stop for the day was one of Bali's most iconic landmarks, the Wisnu Cultural Park. Since it was just a short walk from my hotel, I decided to take a stroll on the footpath along the roadside to reach the parking area, from where I took a shuttle bus to the park entrance. At the heart of the park stands an enormous statue depicting Lord Vishnu riding Garuda. Close to the main statue is the lotus pond, a vast open-air space surrounded by towering limestone pillars carved right out of the hillside. Covering more than 4,000 square meters, it's used as a venue for concerts, festivals, and big cultural events. The scale of it all really makes you feel tiny. The ticket also included entry to the inside of the statue, along with a guided tour to the 9th and the 23rd floors. The visit started with a short film about the Garuda myth from the Mahabharata, and then our guide walked us through the incredible story behind the statue's construction, a process that took nearly 3 decades. Work on the statue first began in 1989 and was finally completed in 2018 at an estimated cost of around $100 million. Standing at 121 meters tall, it's now the 4th tallest statue in the world, and seeing it from the inside really gives you a sense of just how massive it is. Also included in the ticket was an evening bar-owned performance at the park's amphitheater, a stunning blend of traditional Balinese dance, mythology, and breathtaking visuals. After the performance, I walked back through the park grounds, which, along with the Garuda statue, were beautifully lit up at night. The whole place had this magical atmosphere, a perfect way to wrap up my very first day in Bali. The next morning, I hopped on a grab bike to get to Jimbaran beach, where I chilled for about an hour, enjoying the calm ocean waves and the quiet morning vibe. After that, I headed towards the Suluban beach, also known as Blue Point, one of the most unique beaches in Bali. There, I walked down a long flight of narrow stairs, past little cafes, surf shops, and cliffside bars, finally reaching a narrow cave opening that suddenly opens up to this hidden world of turquoise water and dramatic cliffs. The sound of the waves echoing through the rocks makes it feel like a secret spot carved by the ocean itself. I climbed back up to the cliffside cafes for an incredible view of Bali's coastline before leaving for the nearby Uluwatu temple. I stopped by a local Indian restaurant along the way for some delicious food. At the temple, I bought my entry ticket and tied the compulsory sarong around my waist before entering. The temple sits right on the edge of a sheer cliff, about 70 meters above the sea. It's one of Bali's 6 sea temples believed to protect the island from evil spirits from the ocean. The temple itself dates back to the 11th century, founded by the Javanese sage Empu Kuturan. The temple complex has stone pathways shaded by frangipani trees with mischievous monkeys running around the temple grounds. By around 6 p.m., I made my way to the amphitheater for the evening kecak dance, which started with a priest performing a small ritual and lighting the central altar on fire. The sky turned shades of gold and orange as the performers took their places in a large circle, chanting "Chak Chak Chak" in a perfect rhythm. The story of the Ramayana unfolded through their movements: Hanuman's leaps, Sita's grace, and the flicker of firelight against the twilight sky, which felt like the perfect ending to my second and last day in Uluwatu. The next morning, I checked out of my hotel and took a 90-minute cab ride to my next destination, Ubud, the cultural heart of Bali, where I'd be spending the rest of my days on this trip. I checked into my stay at the new hotel, which was at just a 10-minute walk from the Ubud Palace. The room was spacious, modern, and beautifully designed with a touch of Balinese charm. After freshening up, I set out to explore the area around the hotel. The streets were lively but relaxed, lined with cafes, art shops, and restaurants, all set among traditional Balinese buildings with ornate gates and stone carvings. I was getting a bit hungry, so I stopped for lunch at a restaurant near the palace. After that, I headed straight to Ubud Palace, which is right in the heart of town. The palace dates back to the early 19th century and is still home to the royal family of Ubud. The architecture is stunning with intricate stone and wood carvings, pavilions with thatched roofs, and beautifully laid out courtyards. It's not a huge complex, but every corner feels steeped in history and artistry. Just a short walk away is the Ubud Water Palace, one of the prettiest temples in Ubud. I changed into traditional Balinese attire before entering, a traditional Balinese gown and a hat, and made my way in. The temple is dedicated to Devi Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom, learning, and the arts. A lotus pond stretches in front of the main gate, covered in hundreds of blooming pink lotuses with stone pathways cutting through the water. The temple itself is beautifully detailed, with golden doors and ornate carvings depicting celestial beings. As the evening rolled in, I had tea and dinner at a nearby Indian restaurant. Right after which, I returned to the Ubud Palace for the legong performance, a graceful Balinese traditional dance form. The legong originated in the Balinese royal courts during the 19th century, performed by young girls trained in the art of intricate movement and expressive storytelling. Every gesture, every glance, every flick of the hand carries meaning, telling stories from ancient Indian epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, often incorporating local Balinese lore and legends. The performance took place in the open courtyard of the palace, lit by soft golden lights, with the gamelan orchestra playing in the background. The atmosphere was mesmerizing, quaint yet alive. There are 7 different performances held here every evening of the week, each with its own story and dance style. Since I was staying so close to the palace and spending a week in Ubud, I ended up watching all of them. A perfect way to wind down each day, surrounded by music, culture, and the timeless rhythm of Balinese tradition. I started the next morning with a hot cup of tea on my hotel room balcony, and then headed out to my first stop of the day, the famous Ubud Monkey Forest. The entrance to the forest is through a small cave known as the Durgama Cave. Inside, there is a stone linga representing Lord Shiva, and the walls are covered with beautiful carvings of Goddess Durga in her fierce form, manifesting through sacred tantric symbols and animal motifs. Once you pass through the cave, you enter this dense green world, the monkey forest itself. Monkeys are everywhere, running, climbing, playing, and yes, trying to grab anything they can get their hands on. We were warned to keep our belongings close and definitely not feed them. And trust me, that's good advice. The main temple lies in the southwestern part of the forest grounds and is used for worshipping the god Yangvidhi in personification of Shiva. There is also a cremation temple dedicated to Prajapati Brahma, the deity believed to protect souls before they are cremated. Nearby lies a traditional Balinese cemetery where bodies are temporarily buried until the cremation ceremony is performed on an auspicious day. The forest is huge with lush green canopies, moss-covered bridges, and a quiet river running through. I spent about an hour wandering about, soaking it all in. After all that walking, I stopped by the Monkey Forest Cafe for some fresh mango juice. For lunch, I found a cozy vegan restaurant nearby. The place had a variety of interesting dishes and even a small display of Ayurvedic herbs and products. After the wholesome meal, I headed out to my next stop, the Tegenungan waterfall. I had to descend nearly 200 steps to get to the bottom, but the view was completely worth it. The waterfall stands at about 15 meters tall and is surrounded by lush tropical greenery. It's considered a sacred site for cleansing rituals performed by the local community, who believe these waters hold magical powers. Just a short walk away, there's a small sacred shrine believed to be the spiritual house of the mystic priest. On my way back, I got off at a spot near my hotel, where I explored a local walking trail surrounded by lush greenery. As I kept walking, I found a really cool fishing spot under a bridge, right where two streams meet. It was calm, peaceful, and completely unexpected. After soaking in the quiet vibe for a while, I headed to an Italian restaurant close to my hotel for dinner, ending the day with some delicious food. I woke up early the next morning, just in time for sunrise, had breakfast, and got ready for a group day trip exploring some of the best spots in East Bali. Our first stop was the Goa Raja waterfall. There's a swing right at the entrance, but we decided to skip that and head straight for the trail. The short trek took us through the lush tropical forest, across small streams, and under bamboo canopies. And soon we were greeted by the stunning sight of the waterfall Goa Raja, which means the King's Cave in Balinese. The air was filled with birdsong and the calming sound of rushing water. It felt serene and untouched. Next, we set out for our second stop, the Lempuyang temple. From the base, we had to take a shuttle bus that took us uphill through winding forest roads to the temple area, where we put on the mandatory sarongs. Since the wait time was around an hour, we decided to grab lunch at a small local restaurant nearby. The place offered an incredible panoramic view of the Balinese highlands. I tried some traditional Balinese dishes while enjoying the peaceful scenery. After lunch, we made our way up to the main temple complex, which itself was absolutely stunning with stone stairways lined with dragon carvings and the ornate temple gates. Finally, our token number was called and we got our photos taken at the gates of heaven. After the photos, we hopped back into our car and went to a local coffee plantation. We were greeted by a friendly guide who gave us a short estate tour, explaining the process of growing and harvesting different varieties of coffee and cocoa beans, which are used to make the Luwak coffee, the world's most expensive coffee made from beans that have been eaten and then excreted by the Asian palm civet. After the tour, we sat down for a free tasting session where we got to sample an array of teas and coffees, from vanilla and coconut coffee to lemongrass and rosella tea. Each had its own distinct aroma and flavor. I also decided to try a cup of the signature Luwak coffee, which had a very strong earthy taste. Our final stop for the day was the Tirta Gangga water palace. The name literally means the holy water of the Ganges. Built in 1948 by the royal family of Karangasem, it's a stunning complex of pools, fountains, and stone sculptures, all surrounded by lush gardens and lotus ponds. There's also a small museum in the complex that tells the story of the palace's origins and its founder, who was the last king of the Karangasem kingdom. With that, we wrapped up our tour and journeyed back to Ubud, where I ended the day with a comforting dinner at an Indian restaurant. The next morning, I woke up early once again, this time for a day trip to North Bali. My first stop was a chocolate factory, where I got a tour of the chocolate making process. They use a wide range of real ingredients to create all kinds of flavors, from the classics to the truly unique ones like chili, rendang, and durian. It's a plant-based chocolate factory that's been crafting premium artisanal chocolates here in Bali since 2010. I tried all their samples and decided to buy some to take back home. The next stop was the Campuhan Antapan waterfall. To get there, I had to walk for about 15 minutes, descending nearly 500 steps through lush greenery and across a small bridge. The view at the end made it all worth it, a serene hidden waterfall surrounded by nature. I spent some time there taking photos and soaking in the peaceful atmosphere before starting the short trek back up to the parking area. We then set out for our next destination, enjoying a scenic drive through quaint villages and the verdant slopes of Tabanan. Soon, we arrived at the Jatiluwih rice terraces, which feature 7 different trekking routes to explore. Stretching across the foothills, Jatiluwih is a breathtaking expanse of contoured rice fields that showcase Bali's traditional subak irrigation system, an ingenious communal water network developed by local farmers centuries ago. Nominated for UNESCO World Heritage status, the terraces are a perfect example of harmony between nature and human creativity. I spent about an hour trekking through the lush green trails, and as the sky turned cloudy, the landscape looked even more magical. Afterwards, I stopped by a nearby restaurant for a delicious lunch, all while enjoying a stunning view of the terraces spread out below. We then headed out for the final stop for the day, which was the Ulun Danu Buyan temple. The grounds and gardens of the temple complex are beautifully laid out and impeccably well kept, with shrines, courtyards, and pavilions surrounded by lush greenery. The temple, dedicated to the goddess of the Lake Buyan, along which it is built, holds deep spiritual significance for the locals. From the edge, there was a stunning view of the lake and the temple, framed by the surrounding hills. As the weather started to turn cloudy, I wrapped up my visit just in time before it began to rain. I found a cozy cafe nearby and enjoyed a warm cup of coffee, watching the rain pour over the lake. The walk back past the temple and lake was oddly picturesque. Everything looked dreamlike in the mist and drizzle. Soon after, I got back to the parking area and began the drive back to Ubud. Later that evening, I had dinner at a local restaurant that had a small table with ground seating on a veranda, giving the place a traditional Balinese vibe. I ordered a delicious vegetarian nasi goreng, which is fried rice, and a tempeh mendoan, a fried dish made from fermented soybeans, which was probably the best traditional food I had on my entire trip. I woke up the next morning to heavy rains, which cleared out by noon. That's when I left my hotel and walked over to a local eating joint for brunch. After that, I hopped on a grab bike to one of Bali's most popular and spiritually significant temples, the Tirta Empul. After wearing the sarong, I entered the temple compound, which is quite expansive, passing through traditional Balinese gates and courtyards lined with shrines and sculptures. Tirta Empul, which means holy spring, was founded by Varmadeva dynasty in 962 CE around a natural spring which Balinese Hindus consider to be Amrita or ambrosia. The main attraction of the temple is the Melukat purification pool, where spring water flows through a row of stone spouts into rectangular bathing pools. I watched as people lined up patiently, moving from one spout to the next, performing the cleansing ritual, dipping their heads under the flowing water while offering prayers. Next, I headed out to visit another Hindu temple named the Gunung Kawi Sebatu, where I yet again had to put on a sarong before entering. About half an hour from Ubud, it is an impressive temple and has fewer tourists with a very local and spiritual atmosphere. Built in the 11th century, the temple offers a serene retreat with spring-fed pools, lush greenery, and intricate carvings, perfect for spiritual reflection and renewal in the heart of Sebatu village. You get to see numerous stone shrines, koi ponds, and a statue of goddess Saraswati on a swan in a central lake. Like Tirta Empul, it features pools and fountains for ritual purification. It got cloudy and started raining as I was making my way back to Ubud, so I had to put on a raincoat. Later that evening, I had some very good food at a Greek taverna close to my hotel. That perfectly rounded off another beautiful day in Bali. The next day began early since I had to reach the pickup point for the day trip to Nusa Penida. On the way, I passed through the Ubud market, which starts bustling as early as 6 am and wraps up by 9. Our driver then took us on about an hour-long drive to Sanur Harbour. The boat ride to Nusa Penida didn't take us long, and we reached the harbour in under an hour, greeted by beautiful views of the turquoise waters. There, we met our local guide for the day who took us to various tourist spots on the island. The first stop was at the Broken Beach. According to local legend, this place was once an ancient village that sank into the ocean due to a curse, leaving behind these otherworldly cliffs and crystal clear waters that shimmer under the sun. We stopped at a local restaurant for lunch, which was included in the trip package, and then headed to Kelingking Beach, one of Bali's most iconic sites, famous for its T-Rex shaped cliffs. The view from the top was absolutely breathtaking. Next, we made our way through the winding hilly roads of Nusa Penida, passing by lush greenery and glimpses of the ocean along the way, until we reached our last stop, the Virgin Beach. We spent over an hour at the beach, just relaxing and strolling along the shore, enjoying the calm vibe and the ocean view. Next, we headed back to the harbour and waited for our boat to arrive. The ride back was quite bumpy, with the boat swaying and splashing through the rough waters. Back in Ubud, while walking from the drop-off point to my hotel, I stumbled upon a local Balinese Hindu ceremony. The streets were beautifully decorated on both sides with penjor, tall bamboo poles adorned with leaves, flowers, and offerings. Locals dressed in elegant traditional Balinese attire filled the streets, carrying baskets of offerings and accompanied by the rhythmic sound of gamelan music. The entire scene was glowing under the soft golden lights, which felt festive and spiritual. Finally, I ended the day with a wholesome dinner of traditional Balinese dishes. The next day was pretty laid back. I had some vegan food for lunch at a local restaurant before heading out to the Puri Lukisan Museum, which is the oldest art museum in Bali. The entrance itself is beautiful, marked by traditional Balinese gates and a lotus pond. Inside, the gallery showcases a collection of modern traditional Balinese paintings and wood carvings from 20th century Balinese artists. The paintings and sculptures capture themes of rural Balinese life, daily rituals, and scenes from Hindu mythology. The museum has a total of 4 buildings housing various collections and temporary exhibitions. After visiting the galleries, I took a short break at the museum cafe and had a cup of tea, and then set out exploring the local markets nearby. I picked up a few gifts and souvenirs for myself and my family. Later in the evening, I had dinner at an Indian restaurant and spent my last night in Bali watching the final legong dance performance of the week. On the morning of my last day in Bali, I checked out of my hotel and took a grab car to the airport for my flight back home. feeling grateful for the incredible experiences I got to have on my trip. Bali truly left a lasting impression, and I'd love to come back someday to explore even more of this amazing island. And that's a wrap from Bali. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.